The first time I saw her that way, the world seemed to tilt, as if gravity itself had momentarily forgotten its rules. One moment I was an invisible employee, carrying deadlines and quiet disappointments on my shoulders, and the next moment I was standing still, stunned by a scene that felt too intimate to be real. The ocean shimmered like a living thing, the air smelled of salt and sunlight, and there she was, my CEO, resting under the open sky, unaware that a single glance was about to change the direction of two lives forever. In that instant, everything I believed about power, distance, and destiny cracked open. Before the story goes any further, take a second with me. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the quiet moments that change people more than loud victories ever could, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this are reminders that life can surprise us when we least expect it. I had never planned to be seen, let alone noticed. My life had been a careful exercise in staying small, in doing my work well enough to survive but never loudly enough to stand out. I came from a background where stability mattered more than dreams, where you learned early not to want too much because disappointment could become a habit. Working at a large company had been my attempt at safety. I showed up early, left late, and blended into the background of open offices and muted conversations. The CEO was a name on emails, a presence in boardroom stories, a figure people spoke about with admiration and fear mixed together. She was success made human, distant and unreachable, like a mountain you see every day but never climb. The trip that brought us to the same place had not been meant for connection. It was a corporate retreat, the kind designed to inspire teamwork while quietly reminding everyone where they stood. I had almost not come. I was exhausted, emotionally drained from months of pushing myself through projects that never seemed to end. But something inside me, maybe stubbornness or maybe hope, insisted that a change of scenery could reset something broken. So I went, carrying a suitcase full of doubts and a mind cluttered with what-ifs. The resort was beautiful in a way that felt unreal. Blue water stretched endlessly, palm trees whispered secrets to the wind, and the sun painted everything in warmth. For the first time in years, I felt my shoulders drop, even if just a little. Early one morning, unable to sleep, I wandered down to the beach. I told myself I needed air, space, quiet. What I didn't know was that I was walking toward a moment that would strip away every label I had placed on myself. She was there, resting in solitude, the powerful leader reduced to a human being enjoying a rare moment of stillness. There was no entourage, no meetings, no sharp edges of authority. Just a person, breathing, existing, vulnerable in a way I had never imagined. That sight didn't awaken desire so much as it awakened curiosity and empathy. I realized how rarely we allow ourselves to see the people above us as human, how easily we forget that success doesn't erase loneliness. That morning passed without a word spoken, but something invisible had been set in motion. Back at the retreat, our paths crossed more often. Meetings felt different. Hallways seemed charged with unspoken recognition. I struggled internally, torn between professionalism and the strange pull of being truly seen. The company culture encouraged ambition but discouraged authenticity. Showing vulnerability felt dangerous, yet I couldn't shake the feeling that something honest was trying to break through the walls we had built. As days passed, my own challenges surfaced more clearly. I was burnt out, questioning my worth, wondering if the life I was living was a smaller version of what I could be. I had sacrificed friendships, family time, and personal dreams for a job that rewarded endurance more than passion. Seeing her in that unguarded moment forced me to confront my own masks. If someone at the very top needed stillness and escape, what did that say about the cost of constant striving? Slowly, subtly, things began to change. She started acknowledging my contributions in meetings, not in grand gestures but in ways that felt sincere. A nod here, a thoughtful follow-up there. It wasn't favoritism, it was recognition. That recognition lit a quiet fire in me. I began to speak up, to share ideas I had kept hidden out of fear. To my surprise, those ideas were welcomed. The company felt less like a machine and more like a place where voices mattered. Behind the scenes, I learned that her journey had been anything but easy. Leadership had isolated her. Decisions that affected thousands weighed heavily on her conscience. Trust was a luxury she rarely allowed herself. The sunlit morning on the beach had been her attempt to remember who she was before the titles, before the expectations. In seeing her humanity, I found permission to honor my own. The real challenge came not from our connection but from the world around us. Office whispers, raised eyebrows, and unspoken assumptions threatened to turn something pure into something scandalous. I feared being reduced to a rumor, my efforts overshadowed by speculation. She faced the risk of her authority being questioned, her intentions misunderstood. We stood on opposite sides of a fragile line, both aware that one wrong step could undo everything we had built. What saved us was integrity. Boundaries were respected, professionalism remained intact. The connection that mattered most was not romantic but transformational. She became a mentor in the truest sense, pushing me to grow, to lead, to believe in my own potential. I learned that admiration doesn't have to cross lines to be powerful. Sometimes, the greatest relationships are those that elevate without consuming. As months went by, my life shifted in quiet but profound ways. I earned a promotion, not because of who I knew, but because I finally believed in what I could do. I rebuilt relationships outside of work, learned to rest without guilt, and rediscovered passions I had buried under responsibility. The company changed too, adopting more human-centered values, encouraging balance, recognizing that people are not machines. Near the end of the retreat season, I returned to the beach alone. The same ocean greeted me, unchanged, eternal. I reflected on how a single moment of unexpected honesty had reshaped my understanding of connection and self-worth. It wasn't about attraction or forbidden tension. It was about seeing and being seen, about recognizing the shared humanity that exists beneath every role we play. If this story has reached something tender inside you, if it reminds you of a moment when life surprised you in a quiet way, please take a moment now to like this video, share it, and subscribe. Your engagement keeps stories like this alive and reminds us all that connection still matters. Before we reach the end, I have one special request. Please comment below and share your thoughts, your experiences, or even just a single word that captures how this story made you feel. Your voice is part of this journey. In the end, what stayed with me was not the image of a CEO under the sun, but the lesson that power does not come from titles or distance. It comes from empathy, from the courage to be human in a world that rewards armor. We never spoke about that morning, never needed to. Its impact lived on in the choices we made, the respect we held, and the growth we allowed ourselves. Life rarely changes in loud, dramatic scenes. Sometimes it changes in silence, in a glance, in a realization that the person you admire is just as fragile as you are. And sometimes, that understanding is enough to help you finally step into the life you were meant to live.